In this video, we're going to be going over the transactions screen in ThunderPOS, how you can search for transactions, look at old transactions, print a gift receipt, and void a transaction that has taken place the same day. So we're going to flip over to our program here. So to get to the transaction screen, you go to Store and then to Transactions along the top. Depending on the register design, you may also be able to just hit Transactions along the left or wherever the button may be. So here you can see we've actually got a few transactions we've already done in this database. It's a relatively small database, obviously. But there are a few functions I want to kind of go through here. Number one, in the bottom left, you can see search and view details. So view details will take the one we've got highlighted and it will actually bring up a screen where you can see more information about that particular transaction, including a list of items. And then you can also, from here, do a number of functions, including you can make returns, you can reprint the receipts or the trade-in labels, and you can print what is commonly referred to as a gift receipt, a receipt that does not have the pricing information. So those are kind of the core functions that you might do on an individual transaction here. You can also, when you're searching, there are some search functions here that you can't really get anywhere else, including you can search only for transactions where there was a discount. You can search for specific status of transactions. By default, when you come in here, this is going to be on. It is going to only find completed transactions. And they'll be in reverse chronological order always. So the most recent transactions will be at the top and it will go down. You can also search for particular amounts, such as like anything from, if we wanted to search for anything between $10 and $15 on credit, you can do that right here. You can search for particular employees or registers. You can get pretty detailed here. You can also search for specific item IDs. So that's, you can find all of the transactions where you sold a particular item. But we're going to just cancel this. So we're not actually going to do any of those searches. But that can be used to try and track down any kind of particular behavior that you're worried about. Such as, you might have sold a particular item or taken a particular item in trade, and you need to know which transaction it was on. That's the easiest way to find that. You can also recall a transaction. That's only going to do anything if the status is either active or suspended, in which case it will recall it and bring it up on the current register, the same as the recall transaction function there does. You can email a receipt for a particular invoice if you have emailed settings on and configured. For more info on that, see our settings video. You can use previous and next to just page. And then the last one I want to talk about here is voiding. So voiding is canceling a transaction after it has already been completed. And there are some restrictions on this for probably obvious reasons, mostly having to do with the security of the software. Number one, you must either have the specific employee permission to void transactions or be an administrator. And number two, you cannot void transactions that are not from the current calendar day. So once the clock strikes midnight, you can't void transactions from the day previous anymore. There are also specific circumstances where you would not be able to void a transaction. The most common of these is that you actually cannot void debit transactions if you're using integrated payments, because debit card transactions cannot be voided. But you also can't do things like if you were to sell a gift card and then use that gift card, you can't void the sale of the gift card at that point. Just because then you would end up with negative balance on the gift card. It'd be a way that customers could try and get something out of the system, or more accurately, employees could. Anything you void, there is an audit log entry for it that will get made. So you can, if you're concerned about maybe an employee has been abusing this function, which is, to be fair, one of the most powerful in the system in terms of what it does. then I would recommend that you take a look at reports and then transactions and then audit activity, and you can see. So if we go in here, and we're going to run this report for today, if we go in here and actually void one of these transactions, the only one from today, it's going to make us confirm that we want to void it. It will then tell us it's been voided. And then if we go and look at that report, and it'll come up here and we can see that we voided that transaction. That was employee 01 that voided that transaction, at 2:32 p.m. So that is something I highly recommend just checking if you give your employees permission to void just every now and then. Make sure that they aren't voiding things irresponsibly. There are obviously circumstances where it's important that you have that functionality, but it's not something that you should be doing constantly, or that's kind of a sign that somebody's doing things wrong. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to support on this. And otherwise, we hope that this video has been helpful.